Maybe he'll be able to pop in when he can, but we're going to rock this out. This is the amazing Mr. Motivation, Aaron Hairston. And, today we always talk about mobility and the mindset of fitness professionals. And, today we're going to be, and we always talk about also talk about athletes and where they're at, right? So this is one of the things we're talking about, an athlete and where he's at, right? So, so Aaron Hairston, just going to get a little bit into his bio. So, Aaron has been playing football since he was 9 years old. He quickly excelled in many levels all the way through high school, winning a state championship in 91 and 92, and then moving on to college. Unfortunately, college was ineligible due to the NCAA clearinghouse, and therefore sent him back a little bit in regards to his football career. However, through diligence of hard work and continuing to keep his options open, he ended up trying out in an arena football team, the Mohegan Wolves, and ended up getting picked up by a minor league football team, the New England Knights. With the Knights, he started as a tailback, won 2 championships alongside another national championships, where he was scouted by the New York Giants, y'all. All right, and then but he needed to make an arena team. And during that season, week 5, ended up suffering and ended up an ACL injury, which put him in a situation where he could only train and teach others what he learned to play. Very, very high level. Went to win a bodybuilding competition in 2015. Dude, that was bananas. World championship from there. Continued to work with others to train, to inspire, to encourage, and coach in the wellness space. Became a health coach in 2011, and even today, now working with other people to optimize their human potential, and super excited about his future ahead. Welcome to Mobility Bros, Aaron Hairston. So some of you may not know, man, and I've known Aaron since we were 5 years old, man. So this is my ride or die. He's my bald-headed brother, And I played football with him when we were kids, and I think if I remember correctly, we ended up winning a Super Bowl as kids.
Sure did.
We sure did. So Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you and all that you guys do here with Mobility Bros, man. It's really cool educating people about their health and wellness, and obviously getting moving.
Absolutely. So tell us what it was like, when you got into when you start playing minor league football and you start working on the levels. What was that like?
Yeah. Well, it was a blessing, to be honest with you. It was very unique. It was something that I wasn't really familiar with, because it was a lot of people that have played college ball and for whatever reason ended up not being able to play. And so for me, it was the clearinghouse, right? So the NCAA clearinghouse is where the collegiate schools have a minimum requirements academically. And so that paperwork has to be filled out around the freshman or sophomore year. And I see it now with my son going into high school this year. He's going to be playing baseball. They start doing that now as a freshman. And then if you do plan on playing in college, they basically create a schedule for you so that when you go into college, you have already met the requirements. Okay. I didn't get that information and I didn't get that guidance in high school. So when I left New England high school and got into college, let's back up a little bit. I got hurt in high school. So I had a lot of D1 colleges. I was all state. I was the man. And so my junior year, I ended up getting hurt. And I lost really all of my letters and all my scholarships and things like that. And so Southern Connecticut State University reached out to me, came down, met with me, and offered me opportunity to play at their school. And so in order for me to even be accepted into the college, I had to take some summer courses. I had to go through this whole thing, the summer program they had, which I did and I achieved. However, it still wasn't equivalent to what the NCAA required. So I had to take a year off. Now, taking a year off was very difficult. I had never been that stale as far as time in my entire life. right? So from 9 years old on to 18, I had always had football in my regimen, right? And so here it was not being able to play sports. It really, put a damper on my on my performance, but also on my mindset. I was too young at that time to be mature enough to be able to not be able to play games and go and practice. And so I decided not to play college football and just stick to my studies and just do the best I can. And so in that process, I went to go try out for that Mohegan Wolves team down in Brantford, and I didn't make that team, but there was a scout there for a minor league football team. So I didn't know anything about minor league football. And like I said, it was a lot of, student athletes that for whatever reason couldn't play college ball, got hurt, or was making a comeback. And we had a great team, Ron. It was amazing. I mean, I was surrounded by some really great people, and we we won a lot of championships, man. It was really cool, but it was different.
I saw the rings. That's all the
Oh, yeah,
rings.
man. I got 5 or something like that. Um, so yeah, so it was really interesting how that whole dynamic worked. Practice was like in an open field in New Haven. It just was different. It wasn't like what I was used to as far as, school organized sport. But I was young enough. I was still young enough. I was in the best shape of my life. And down in, Florida, when we were playing the national championship game, I had a phenomenal game. And the guy in the press box actually was a scout for the New York Giants. And it was really interesting. After the game, he came down and he said, "Man," he goes, "you're a phenomenal athlete. Why are you here?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He says, "Well, a lot of guys come here after their careers." He goes, "You look like you're like in your prime." And so I explained to him a little bit what happened in college. And he said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to call my buddy up and we'll see what we can do to get you a shot at the next level." And I'm like, "Okay." And so I didn't really think much of it. I was excited. I was grateful. But, here I was playing minor league football, working a full-time job, and, taking classes and trying to figure out life. If I get a phone call on Monday morning, then great. And I did. It was Kevin Gilbride, the general manager for the New York Giants. And it was like,
Wow.
oh. And he got me, I was so excited. And he said to me, he said, "Listen," he goes, "because you didn't play in college, I need you to play at a high level. I know minor league football is what it is, but it's not, it's not equivalent to high level. What I need for you to go into camp to be able to really survive in a real NFL setting, because most guys there are D1, right? So D1 Division I football is a very high level training, and so those kids are already prepared for professional sports. Whereas if you're not in that environment, and you jump into the NFL, like you're not going to make it physically, like you're not going to be conditioned to make it." So he had me try out for an arena football team. I made the team. And as you mentioned in my bio, 5th weekend, I blew my ACL, PCL, meniscus, completely damaged my knee, 20% disability, and ended my career. And so it was hard. That whole road was very difficult. And I always say now that it's the greatest thing that ever happened, because it allowed me to become who I am today. And I'm grateful for it looking back at it. But during that time, bro, it was hard. I had a lot of fun, a lot of highs, and then hitting that low, and then obviously recovering, getting back on the field in 9 months, and then, moving on in my life in IT. As you see me now, I'm in the closet of one of these elementary schools that I support in technology. So, it's amazing how life works.
That's awesome. And, so were you able to, I know that there was a point of recovery when you tore your ACL and your PCL and that. So were you able to still play arena ball after you were recovered, or was it completely done?
So yeah, I came back in 9 months. It was pretty awesome. We had the actual New England Patriots medical team because we played in Massachusetts. And so we had a great medical team. They had me well prepared. They had me doing all kinds of exercises, things like that to build up as much muscle, because they knew that atrophy was going to set in once, I got the surgery done and I had to really be off it. And so I was doing squats. I was doing all kind of whatever they told me to do, I was doing it. And like I said, I was in the best shape of my life. I was about, 235 pounds, maybe 11, maybe 12% body fat. Like I was shredded. And so, when that injury happened, it happened at an ideal time because I was already really, really, really healthy. And so I came back in 9 months, worked my butt off, came back, actually had some really great plays, good runs when we played Ohio. The teams, when you make it to the pros and you get hurt, they can't let you go, right? They have to make sure you're back, recovered and everything and taking care of you. So they took care of me all the way through. I came back, had another good season, And then the AFL kind of folded up. Like a lot of the teams, started losing, the support and the funding. And so it was kind of like the end of the AFL, or it was just transitioning into other, bigger leagues like the XFL and things like that for feeder systems for the NFL. But yeah, I came back, man, and I did the best I could, to make sure that I was able to step back on that field and play the game that I love and get that check at the end of the week. So it was cool.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm proud of you, man. I know one of your dreams, and like I said, and just telling as I'm saying to the audience, is one of his dreams was to be a pro football player. And even though he didn't actually play for the Giants, he still played pro ball, right? He still was like that. He got scouted by the Giants, and he was like on the cusp. So you fulfilled your dream.
I did. I got a paycheck. The indoor football league is real deal. It's professional football. And going to the bank with my first check, no matter the amount, the person that wrote the check to me was a football organization, right? So going to the bank, I remember that first day, I walked up to the teller, my little swag, and gave him my check, and she says, "Oh, New England Surge football." I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "What's that?" I said, "That's an arena football team I play for." She was like, "Oh, you're a professional athlete." I said, "Absolutely." So it really kind of sealed the deal for my dream. And it's interesting how that works, right? I mean, there's no dollar amount to a dream. I think that you make it. And if you can appreciate that and take the lesson out of that, then you don't expect a monetary value to reflect your success. It's really the journey. And I think I have so much appreciation for that now, looking back at it, and to be able to share that with other athletes that may, go through what I went through, or may not. They may get a 7-figure income on that check. But the thing is that, whether it's a penny or whether it's $5 billion, being a professional or a paid athlete is a professional athlete. And I'm very grateful for that.
That's awesome. So now let's switch gears from Aaron the athlete to Aaron the coach.
All right.
So I know that you had the opportunity to be a football coach, coaching minor league football as well with Trevor, your younger brother, yep. who is also my ride or die. So tell me about that. Tell me about Aaron the coach.
Yeah. So actually, during that second season, right, that comeback season, my brother reached out to me and said, "Hey, there's a minor league football team that needs a head coach, and I think you'd be perfect for it." I think they were like 1 in 10 the previous season. And he said that, the coach had left and they were looking for a new coach. And so initially I was like, "No, I'm not really interested in that." And he says, "Well, just come down to practice. You have a great story. I think it would inspire a lot of people." And so I said, "You know what? You're right. I'll come down, take a look at it." So I met some of the players. They were actually at an elementary school, kind of in the back at the recess area, and they were like, going through their emotions and stuff. And I was like, at first I was like, "This is silly." Like, I'm coming from professional football where everything is very, very organized and very tight and very, 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 I don't know, professional. And then here I am, in the backyard of a school with a group of guys getting ready for football, and, guys age range from 18 to 35. It was crazy,
right.
But once I really got to meet a lot of those people, I said, "Wow, like this is a great opportunity now to inspire." And they looked up to me. They looked up at me as a professional athlete. They looked up as someone who can teach them some things, and some of the younger guys who are looking to do that, really kind of attached to me. And so I dove right into the role of a mentor, of a coach, and I just started to instill as much leadership and things that I've learned along my journey into that organization. And we ended up turning that organization around and won 2 back-to-back championships, which is really awesome. The following year. So it's an amazing thing when you just stay open to what your blessings are and what the Lord brings to you, because what ends up being a setback ends up being a setup, for your next move. So it's a great thing. And coaching was amazing. And I still do today. Now that my children are older, I have a 14-year-old and an 8-year-old, both athletic, both involved in things. And I try to do the best I can to be a part of that journey, whether it be assistant coaching, head coaching, wherever it may be, that I can be part of giving the information that I've learned along my journey to those young kids.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, if anybody has any questions about to Aaron, put it in the chat. You know, about his coaching career, his football career, put it in the chat. You know, so I'm always inspired by you, Aaron. You know, you've always how dedicated you are to not just the world of fitness and sports, but how you are to your family, right? And you've always had this great translation to both, right? You always had as you say, a great marriage to both, right? And then now you have your boys; they're getting older, and you're supporting them in their dreams of being athletes and moving them along. And so tell me what does that do for your heart? Like, what is that? How does that make you feel when you're there doing that for them?
It's priceless. It really is. It allows me to grow as well, which is one of the most important things to me, you know, is growth and contribution. And so when I have an opportunity to learn and develop and teach, it really gets me going. You know, it fires me up every single day. And you know, my 14-year-old Elijah, he's a phenomenal person. I mean, this kid is just an incredible kid, but he's a young adult now, right? I mean, no, he's a teenager, right? He's
All
14,
right.
but he's such a specimen, you know, when it comes to everything that he does. You know, he's a technician in what he does. Not only does he, you know, crush academics. I mean, he skipped a grade already in freshman math, so he's in geometry as a freshman. He's in high honors in high school, but also, you know, he plays baseball and he does it at a very high level. And he's coachable and he listens. And you know, for me, it's important that I give him those moments of growth and adversity, you know, and how that works. Because baseball is a very difficult sport. He doesn't like football. I mean, he loves it, watching it, things like that, but he played it for a few years and he really didn't like it, but he liked baseball. And he told me he wants to play for the Red Sox. And there's an old saying that goes, you know, the majority of parents who have children, I'm sorry, the majority of athletes who have parents who have played professional sports have a higher chance of playing professional than those who don't have parents that played professional sports. And the reality of that is the ethics and the work mindset of a professional athlete. Like if you've never been there, you really can't speak on it. Therefore, you can't teach it. Now, granted, there's a lot of athletes, you know, that go pro that, you know, that their parents didn't, right? However, excuse me. However, you know, for me, I feel that I have such a great body of experiences at the highest level possible. And like I said, the difference between the NFL and the AFL, there's very little. It's just really money at that point. There's a lot of great athletes, but there's only, you know, 50 guys or 25, 35, 55 guys that can play football, right? And there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of athletes. So, you know, great athletes everywhere. But my point of this is that, you know, my son really gives me an opportunity to grow, you know, his skill set and his mindset. And I do a lot of that, you know, and I don't tell him what to do. I ask him what he wants to do. And then I fill in the gaps of what I can share with him. And so I allow him to grow, you know, through those moments instead of saying, hey, son, you know, I'm the man, I've done this, follow my footsteps. I'm saying grow and walk in your own footsteps. I'm here to support you. I'm here to be that wind beneath your wings. I'm here to be that support system in the background, and I will always be there for you, whether you play sports or not. The most important thing that I want to instill in you is that you find joy in the sport. Because if you don't find joy in the sport, as you get, you know, as you get older and you become, you know, better, everybody around you is going to be better. So now, you know, you're faced with, if you don't love this, then you're not going to put the work in. Right. If you're not putting the work in, then you're not going to play, and eventually you'll be out of the game. And so for me, it gives me a lot of joy and happiness to be able to, you know, give my children, you know, all of my knowledge, but only when they're asking for it. You know, either through struggle and I can see them looking for information, or if they directly come to me and say, Dad, what would you do in this situation? So yeah, no, it's awesome. And yeah, I can't wait. My son's in high school now, you know, and I'm excited to see what he does at that level.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, it's so detrimental when you have a parent that is that may play at a semi quasi high level in their sport, and then they're putting so much pressure on their child to be this person, and they have no passion in that, right? So and then by the time they hit like high school or maybe college, they freaking hate it.
They burnt out. Yeah.
They burnt out, you know. I was talking to I was talking to someone a couple of years ago who he had a really good athletic talent in football, and he's our age now. But I was talking to him. He said he hated football, but he was just a natural athlete. He ended up going to getting a scholarship, a free ride to UConn, and then said once he got in, he was like, yeah, I don't want to play. He just, but it was just like, it's just some people who just they just lose that passion and drive, and they can have like all the, as they said, the God-given talent, but if they have that, if they don't have that drive or passion, it doesn't really, it's not really worth it. So so tell us just a little bit, tell the audience a little bit about, we're going to backtrack a little bit about, you in your bio, you talked about you competing as a bodybuilder. I'm working on competing. I'm straining for a show right now, working with Trevor. So tell me about that and winning a championship.
Yeah. So shortly after my recovery, in 2013 ish, or 2011 actually, because I got hurt in 2007. So shortly after my injury, my brother approached me and said, "Hey, we're gonna do something new. We're gonna get into selling supplements, right?" So he introduced me to this network marketing company. And at first, I was super skeptical. I was that arrogant athlete. I don't need anybody. I don't need no help. I'm good. I'll go to GNC, grab my stuff. I don't need to do that. And so my brother was adamant about doing this thing. And so he actually purchased some products for me. And it was like, the biggest pack that the company offers. And I get the box and I kicked it under my bed. I didn't touch it for like 6 months, dude. And looking back at it, I laugh, and I was that pain in the butt. But fast forward, he brought me to an event out in Phoenix, Arizona, where I met some really amazing people. And along those conversations came across fitness competitions. And I paid it no mind. I was just like, okay, that's cool. That's people's thing. And so back from that event, my brother and I decided to take a trip to Massachusetts to go meet someone who we met at that event. And we get up there and we start talking, and the young lady pulls us into their office and says, "Hey, you guys are going to do a fitness competition." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" I said, "Me standing on stage naked, that's not my thing. I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry." And she looked at me and she goes, "You're doing a show in 12 weeks, figure it out." And then she left me and Trevor in her office. And I'm looking at Trevor like, "Dude, what are you doing, bro? Like, I'm trying to work. I'm trying to do all this other stuff, dude. Like, what are you doing?" And he goes, "Aaron, we can do it." And if anybody knows my brother, man, like he's that guy. He's like,
he is that guy.
And the little puppy that was just like, "Come on, Spike, you can do it. Spike, come on, dude, you can do it." So he talked me into it. And he said, "That box under your bed, we're going to use that box as a startup, and we're going to rock and roll. We're going to use these products. We're going to crush the show." And so he knew that I have a endless competitiveness to myself. So, he's like, "Yo, we can win." And I'm like, "Ooh, I like winning." I like winning.
Yeah.
So we end up crushing it, man. And it was really a good thing because it brought me to a new place. Actually, I was in better shape leading up to that show than I have ever been in athletics and sports. And it had a lot to do with just really focusing on nutrition. And I think with the fitness world, if done correctly, it can teach you a lot about the human body and about your body specifically. And I think that journey onto the stage has really taught me so much. And now today I still follow a lot of the principles, but stepping on stage, winning that first show, it was breathtaking, man. I never thought I would ever do something like that. But you know what? Anything you put your mind to, anything you, like I said, find joy in. And for me, it's competing. If you tell me that I can play a game and I can win, and if I work hard and you give me the roadmap, I'm going to put the work in. And then after that, I won another show, right? So I won the first local show in 2013, and then I won the world championship in 2015. Once I was talked back into going back on stage in 2015. For the world championship. So it was an amazing journey. I'm so happy that I did it. And, I was able to inspire you, we were able to inspire you to get on stage.
Yeah. So funny story. Yeah. So funny story, y'all. So I got pumped in my head about doing a show. This is 2013. And then I turned around and said I wasn't going to do it. Funny thing is, Aaron didn't know I said I wasn't going to do it. So he called me one day and said, "Hey, how's your training going? I was like, what are you talking about? He said, you said you're gonna do that show. I'm like, I ain't doing no show. He said, yes, you're doing that show. So he wouldn't take me off the hook. So long story short, I ended up doing that. I did one in 2013. I did one in 2019. I looked my best. I looked phenomenal. And I'm working on doing one for this year. I'll be on stage October 21st. So down 36 pounds. I still got like another around 18 to go, but I'm putting in Trevor Harrison's hands. He said
No doubt. He knows
doing
his
all
stuff.
right. So
Yep.
I'm like, oh, I still got fluff on me, bro, but we're gonna figure that out. So
Yep.
but,
Yeah, man. So it's amazing. And and I think if I could take anything away from what you've done, Ron, is you've proven that, you know what, it's always possible, right? If you decide to do it, it's possible. But the key is making the decision. And I think that's where a lot of people fool themselves to think that they're doing something, but they're still completely not bought into the decision. They're still on the fence, whether they do it or not. And they act like they do it, but really the decision hasn't been made up. If they had the chance to get out of it, they would. And there's a big difference, when you succeed. And so, yeah, I'm so happy you brought that up, man, because now looking back, I just turned 46 years old back in August. And I think about all the things that I've achieved when it comes to fitness and when it comes to athletics. And it's given me a lot of valuable tools and lessons now that in the regular world, whether I'm working in a corporation, working for myself, a lot of the principles and things that I've learned through athletics and through, being an athlete have instilled me to be the best every day, because I'm not competing against anyone other than myself, so I have nobody other to answer to than the person in the mirror.
Awesome. So last question I want to ask is, what's next for Aaron Hairston? Like what's next, and where do you see yourself in maybe the next couple of years? Like what does that look like for you?
Yeah. Well, right now, I'm working on getting a stronger reach with all of my speaking engagements. I do a lot of corporate speaking. I do a lot of one-to-one coaching. I do a lot of inspiration and sharing. I call myself a bridge maker. Right. And so I help someone get from point A to point B, and definitely those who have maybe hit a few valleys and haven't really found a lot of resources for themselves. I kind of step in. And so I'm looking to do more reach and be able to be in front of more people. During COVID, I was, right before COVID, actually, I was on a roll. I was doing a lot of engagements. I was speaking a lot. I was traveling the world and having a lot of fun. And then when things kind of shut down, it allowed me time to think and pivot. And so I did that. I did a few things through Zoom, and now reopening the world. Now I'm ready to rock and roll. I currently work in the school system, which is really awesome, as an IT professional. And so I support 5 elementary schools. So I'm running and gunning all day. And I call this my IT retirement, to be honest with you. This work is quite simple, but it gives me opportunity to meet a lot of people, right? So I have 5 elementary schools that I support. That's the admins, that's the principal, all the students and all the teachers. And so being in that type of environment is not really about technology for me. It's really, that's a catalyst that got me here. And so now I'm meeting a lot of people and creating more opportunities to inspire and to share, just like this, Ron, be able to speak to people and see that my experiences may be what others need in their life. And on the fitness front, I just released my app because I thought it was a great idea and a great time to release something that has a lot of my philosophies and things that I've built along the way on my journeys that people can plug into. It's a subscription-based program, which is easy to download on their phone. Awesome. And so I'm excited about getting that a bigger reach as well. And then also supporting nonprofits. I think there's a lot of nonprofits out there that help to help a lot of schools, with mindsets. I mean, children today are in a very confusing place. There's a lot of information. A lot of students don't really know, what's good, what's not, what's real, what's not. And I think that helps, that helps, accelerate the problem of children, being bullied or putting themselves in harm's way. And so, really supporting more and more, programs, nonprofit programs throughout the country that really, instill more of a positive mindset, but not necessarily positive, but more of an optimistic mindset that leads people that leads people to the fact that it doesn't matter where you come from. All that matters is that you have a vision of where you want to go, and that you have support if you ask. So those are the three things right now around I'm working towards. Obviously growing my network marketing business, which
Yep.
allows me again to help more and more people with wellness, and just be more mindful of other streams of income. Because again, I like being a dad. I like to be present. And so in order for me to do that, I need to create income that doesn't allow me to be present, and so, that's the ultimate feeder to my success and in all that I do, is making money while I sleep so I can be present with my family.
We here, man. We here, man. And if you had to give one word of inspiration, one word, what would that word be?
You control your effort. So effort.
Effort. I love it. I love it. How do people get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you about the things you're going on and things like that? How would they do that?
Absolutely. So if you are interested in, having a conversation, whether it be about your wellness, whether about making more money, whether it be about speaking, you can hit me up at bookinghairston@gmail.com. So it's BOOKINGHAIRSTON@gmail.com. I'll reach out to you. We'll have a conversation and see where I can add value.
Awesome. Awesome. So I appreciate you being on the show. And this makes episode 29 of Mobility Bros. We're almost getting 30 episodes in.
Wow.
So crazy that thinking about it, right? So it's gonna close it out. I want you to stay awesome, keep stepping the greatest, to be legendary. Have the most amazing day out there, and take care for now.